Hey everyone, I wanted to do a quick video on dimensionality and show you an odd one that I've had recently. So you've been playing with the knowledge and use data, and this is the use items. We can see that they grouped really clearly into 4 factors, and they made sense. So these were all about planning for assessments. These were all about analyzing assessments. These are about giving feedback. These are all about revising and reflecting on instruction. So very clear, they make a lot of sense. What happens when they don't? So this is from my Museum of Nature and Science project, where we were trying to create a measure of meaningful experiences in museums. Based on the extensive literature review that we did on the concept of meaningfulness, and a qualitative study of over 50 visitor use groups on what they viewed as a meaningful experience that day, we came up with 7 very clear themes. We then took each theme and wrote 5 questions for each, expecting it to be a multidimensional construct. So we wanted to accurately capture all of these different dimensions. We did a pilot study and looked at exploratory factor analysis and Roche analysis, and it was very unclear, especially with the EFAs. We even had a hard time reverse engineering. This item is cross-loading on all these things. What was it supposed to be about? Was it supposed to be about learning or interaction? Was it supposed to be about personal connection or togetherness? So even the way that we realized we were wording things increased cross-loading factors. So we went back to the drawing board, reworded a lot of our items, making sure they were very clear and should only fit in one of these 7 themes. Did a second pilot study. Also found that we still didn't have very clear loadings the way that we thought. So at least now we no longer have the cross loadings and unsure exactly where things fit. That said, there was this one item over here that was about fun and about togetherness. So we still had one that kind of crossed over both. But still, when we looked at these 4 factors, each factor has lots of themes all the way throughout it. So we have one factor, the main one, includes all 7 themes. Factors 2 and 3 include 5 of the 7 themes. And factor 4 includes mostly fun. And when you read these 3 items, it really is more about the enjoyment and fun idea. So this one is a really great factor, but that's not what we were trying to do. So that's not of interest to us. Instead, we're really trying to understand this. And we didn't like that it was a single dimension. We were like, there's 7 aspects. We really thought that there would be 7 factors. So we pulled another pilot study, found the same thing, same patterns. So instead I went to Roche models. With the Roche model, I was trying to prioritize making sure that all 7 themes were there, but also prioritizing the ruler, making sure that we were capturing as much of the high and low as we possibly could. So I put all of the items into a Roche model and deleted them one at a time based on the PCAR. It was intense. It took a long time. And again, I was picking and choosing in a different way. So there is some rationale for why this item was picked over this one versus factor analysis is completely based on math. There's no judgment calls within this. Within the Roche model, for example, if there were 3 items that were all falling on the same spot in the ruler, I would be deleting 2 of those, trying to clean it up to make it very, very much a step ruler. And if it was all about learning, and those 3 items were all about the learning factor, that's easy, just pick one. But if it was about learning, memory, and new falling at the same spot in that ruler, now I'm going to look at what else is around that I might need to keep, looking at the item content, making sure that there was one memorable item, for example, that was the highest. It was the hardest to agree to. So I knew I wanted to keep that one. And the fun item was the easiest to agree to. So I knew I wanted to keep that item. And then kind of trying again, one at a time, all the way through until I got the best model statistics that I was finding with all 7 themes included. And getting the 7 themes was the easy part. Getting the Roche model statistics to fit within a single factor was definitely the harder of the dimensionality analysis. But still, it was very clear that this is a unidimensional construct that includes 7 aspects of meaningfulness. We can also see very quickly that the Roche model has 15 items, and the EFA was showing us 16 items. So then the team went back and we looked at all of the actual items. So just because they were about the same theme that we found in the qualitative and lit didn't mean it was the same item that we looked at. So these first ones are identical. Roche picked it up, EFA picked it up. But then we have some differences down here. So myself and the team went through each of these and tried to decide which model do we like? Are we going to call this a 15 item or a 16 item? And really it came down to, we liked the feeling of awe and wonder because this was a harder item to respond to agree to. Laughed and smiled today was the easiest. So these were the top and bottom. Having an educational experience, we liked that wording versus I had an experience that I didn't have last time. So we liked that wording better. And then each person having an experience was a better item, we felt, than feeling connected to staff and volunteers. So in the end, we went with the Roche model PCAR results and had a 15 item unidimensional measure, even though we really thought it was going to have 7 different aspects. So these become facets or aspects within this larger idea of having a meaningful experience. You don't have to have all 7 of these for it to be meaningful, but you have a lot of these at least, and at least one of these is needed for an experience to be considered meaningful in a science museum.